Thank you, Professor Koh. On behalf of the members of the International Water Association and as the president of the association, I'd like to turn to the developing countries and specifically the topics of not only water and sanitation, but especially wastewater and water resources, which are issues that are emerging and recognized as also being significant. And the question I would like to ask is how water professionals and associations such as ours can work together much more effectively with organizations such as yours, because I think we all realize that we need a paradigm change. We need to change the way in which we're making progress in these particular areas.
Thank you. Glenn Diger is the president IWA. There's a question here. Question number first one, which is sort of on the same subject.
And indeed, the question that came in through Pigeonhole was very much along the same lines around water and sanitation. How long would it take everyone to get the basic water and sanitation needs? What should be done? How can international institutions like UNDP help to achieve this? So the Millennium Development Goals also set a target for improved water quality. And at the headline level, I understand that goal is achieved, but it doesn't mean that everybody has access to drinkable water. It's slightly lesser achievement than that. So I think there's a lot of players in the water field. UNDP is one of many, and we tend to focus on water governance. Now, if I can decode that, at the most micro level, often water infrastructure is put in place, but not the capacity to maintain and sustain it. So a well-intended initiative works for a while, but because the capacity to sustain it, fix it, etc., wasn't built, it doesn't succeed for the longer term. So I think in looking at water, it's not just technical and technological solutions, it's that basic building of capacity, of governance, of who's accountable here that has to be put into the whole mix. And I strongly believe in multi-stakeholder approaches to this. There are clearly different levels at which you can organise for universal water provision, sanitation, energy, horses for courses. What will work in the furthest, most remote village? What will work covering a large conurbation? It has to be a multi-stakeholder approach which brings together institutions of governance, civil society, community representation, private sector, social entrepreneurs to get strategies that really will reach everybody.
Good morning, Professor. I'm Greg Clark, no relation to Mrs. Clark, but it's a common name in English. We had a wonderful meeting here yesterday of 105 mayors and deputy mayors from countries around the world. And there is a broad agreement that cities are a key focus for either achieving sustainable development or failing to achieve sustainable development. But if we want to integrate the systems of transport and energy and water, we need cities that have stronger levels of city governance. In other words, the cities that can integrate the systems that produce sustainable development are powerful cities. Is there an agenda that we can promote together with the UN to improve urban governance so more cities can be more smart?
Thank you very much, Greg. There are two questions here, which has...
Well, let's tackle that one because it's music to my ears. I think the role of cities, towns and cities, is incredibly important. And as I said, so often now we see towns and cities actually ahead of a number of national governments in terms of the vision they have for sustainable development. I think of, for example, the message that towns and cities took home from the original Earth Summit in 1992 with Agenda 21. Mayor Bob Harvey, who was head of Waitakere City in my own country, for so many years. I always remember coming back from the Earth Summit and saying, this is the way to go, and making his city an eco-city. And there were cities around the world that did that and were determined to integrate their decision-making so that they didn't just go all out for any one pillar of sustainable development. They said, we're going to do it together. So it does require a lot of building of capacity within the city structures, its public service, and a lot of accountability and feedback loops with its population as well, because this has to be an inclusive process. We have to be listening to our publics. What is the future they want? What's the vision for the city? So if we can build capacity in the institutions, the people, the accountability, and then that all-important ingredient of leadership, because no vision was ever realised without leadership, and that needs to be supported and nurtured too. UNDP is unique within the UN development system for the mandate it has on governance, on democratic governance, and we work in very challenging environments around the world on that, but really very committed to building the capacity of the subnational level of government to tackle these big cutting issues.